75 years ago, the announcement of VE Day on the 8th of May was met across Surrey with overwhelming joy and relief as people realised that 6 years of suffering, sacrifice and loss were coming to an end. Only 27 years earlier, news of the suspension of hostilities on the Western Front was greeted with a similar unrestrained outpouring of joy. This is the story of the end of that great conflict, as related by young Archie Forbes. Archie's family lived at France Hill House in Camberley, and Archie attended Uppingham School, where he was a member of the Officer Training Corps. In March 1918, aged only 19, he was posted overseas as a lieutenant in the 6th Battalion, the Queen's Royal West Surrey Regiment. As the Germans fell back on the Western Front, he and his battalion were thrown into action on many occasions. Archie proved himself a fine officer and was awarded the Military Cross for his courage. His Batman otter followed him faithfully. "I used to laugh as we were the most priceless sight imaginable, what with my long legs striding over the ground and little Otter toddling along with his tiny legs after me, picking up numerous articles that I dropped in my hurry, tin hat, etc. At times I tried to look dignified, but Otter used to hurry me along, saying, 'Come along, sir. Run, sir,' or 'Keep low, sir, your head is sticking up a long way, sir.'" News of the Armistice was received at 0800 hours on the 11th of November, while Archie's battalion was resting in the French village of Rumegies behind the lines. All work for the day was cancelled, and Archie poured out his happiness in a letter to his mother. "Dearest Mother, at last the end of the war has come, and Germany is done and beaten to the very last card. But by Jove she's fought it out well, and stuck out deceiving us up to the very last minute, for not one of us really knew till this morning what a frightful pitch of starvation and despair the Germans had reached. It is useless to try and express my feelings of joy and relief now that it is all over, and I don't suppose you could express yours. It's all too glorious for words. No doubt England is upside down with delight, and rejoicing from top to bottom, the same that we are doing out here. The men are absolutely off their heads with glee, and it's topping to think of the happy meetings and rejoicings that will take place when we all get back to England. But, on the other hand, it's terrible to think of the many sad homes and sorrowful hearts, where this long-looked-for return will not be, and to them, I fear, peace will only bring their losses back more vividly. We heard this grand news this morning, and all hostilities ceased at 11 a.m, and I am thankful to say we are not in the line, but in another village which has been the scene of endless shouting and waving of flags, etc. throughout the day. The French people, on whom we are billeted, have simply fallen over us with joy all day since we told them that the guerre had finied. The women and girls and children are practically falling on our necks and feet with gratitude, and I was all but kissed by the old lady and girls in my billet, and seem to have spent half the day shaking hands with dear old men of about 90, who are tottering about the streets shaking all over with delight. We've spent the day marching about the streets, with bands playing and everybody waving flags and shouting, singing and cheering, and numerous rockets and coloured lights have been sent up all day, to say nothing of squibs and fireworks. The General himself is quite mad, and sent up an SOS rocket this morning from the midst of a huge crowd of Tommies in the market square. The SOS rocket, I must explain, is the signal for an intense artillery barrage to be put down on the Boche when he comes over the top at us, and is immediately answered by all our guns, i.e., if the war is on. But this morning the only reply it got was a terrific outburst of laughter and applause, and the joke appealed to the men like anything. The remainder of the day, when I haven't been marching about or waving flags or cheering, I seem to have spent in standing to attention and listening to God Save the King and the Marseillaise and Belgian national anthem about 100 times over at different times and places. It has really been a historic day in this place, and one which I shall never forget as long as I live. And the beauty of the whole thing to me is that it is genuine, whole-hearted rejoicing, and no drunkenness at all, or even lively spirits through drink, as there isn't a drop of drink in the place, and we can't even get whiskey for the officers' messes at present. Tomorrow there is a large voluntary Thanksgiving service, and I haven't the smallest doubt that every single man in the battalion will turn up, as every one of us thinks and says the same thing, that we have so much to be thankful for that we can never express it in words. And really, when I come to look back on my 6 or 7 months out here, there is such a lot to be thankful for, and all the awful narrow escapes I've had time and again, that it makes me go cold all over to think of it. For although I've only been out for 6 or 7 months, yet these 6 months have seen some of the worst battles and fighting of the war, and fellows who have done as many over-the-top stints and been through as many battles as I have, and come through without a scratch, have got more to thank God for than they can hope to do in a lifetime. Now that it's all over, I don't mind telling you that time and again I've wondered how much longer I should last out, and how much longer my luck would hold. And time and again I've gone over the top with my platoon or company, usually well in front of them, and yet when I looked round I'd see them being knocked over all round me, especially that memorable occasion when I went over with a platoon of 35, and afterwards found myself with 7. It makes one think a bit, I can assure you, and I've wondered and wondered why some fellows like myself have been so lucky, and I'm sure your prayers have done it. And other poor fellows haven't been so fortunate because they haven't got mothers who pray for them so earnestly as you have done for me all along. I know. I can hear the old lady of my billet coming up the stairs to my room. I believe she wants to kiss me this time. No, it was all right. Not the old lady after all, but her young daughter, who has brought me a cup of coffee. I thanked her frightfully, as she's quite pretty, and I said numerous merci beaucoup and biens and bons and très bons, etc., which seemed to please her greatly. With ever so much love to Nancy and yourself and all, your loving son, Archie.